Hello everyone and welcome back to KitbashCarnage. First of all, apologies, I have a bit of a snuffy nose, so if I sound a bit bunged up, that's why. Apologies again for being away for so long, just IRL, work and stuff like that. But let's just stop chit-chatting. So basically, as you can see here, I've shown you a coffee table. So the idea of this is we're going to make a custom trenchcrusade coffee table that basically will open up, displaying a trench kind of like board underneath. And as you can see, we're gonna draw kind of like a little outline. So in my head, I've pictured having these kind of like built foam, XPS foam bits as the actual trenches, and the board will be painted kind of like as a trench itself. So it's dug in, instead of having a big board and then making our dugouts out of it, we can have these pieces of land that we can maneuver around, which will then make us be able to have multiple different layouts of this board. So I gradually kind of worked into this kind of concept. As you can see, I'm basically cutting my sizes down, and I later learned, instead of having to fit the whole XPS foam in the board, I'm going to go with the concept of making smaller individual land masses, and them I can use to they kind of lay out the land, as you can see, like lay out the board, and how you can play each game kind of differently. And then later on, we kind of figured out how to one-up ourselves and turn a cross that we end up making into a second kind of level platform. So we can then make our models kind of with moves and stuff go up like ladders and stairs and stuff, and then go up to the cross, and then go over to the next level where you see the hot glue gun. So that's also going to be another play field kind of. So the board, although is small, the underneath of it, when it is opened up and you use the second level, can be a bigger board. So it's a good kind of concept that I thought about, and I just rolled with it. So enough chit chatting. I'll let you kind of see what I'm doing here for a bit, and I'll nip in and out, explaining little situations of my madness. So yeah, thank you all again for coming back and watching the carnage that we create, and there's a lot to come with this big project and other bits and bobs that I'm doing in the background. So as you see, we are just cutting out the pieces of foam, and then using popsicle sticks or skewers to hold them in place while the glue sets. And now we're going to make a rope ladder. So using pipe cleaners, we're wrapping this around some matchstick, like the wooden part of it without the head kind of that you light on fire. And you just wrap this round and then continue this all the way down until you get something like this. And then, as you can see, we're kind of floating through this. We're laying out the layout of the board. We made some more rope ladders. Then you burn these rope ladders, and you end up kind of singeing it and making it look more like a rope ladder instead of just a pipe cleaner ladder. Now we're laying out all the bits, like the bits of terrain, and we're figuring out in our head by drawing this where we're going to cut, where we're going to dig in, where we need these big craters from where like big rockets have hit or explosions have formed, or even people have dug out little tiny trenches in the trenches themselves in order to, you know, just duck in just quickly out of the way of a shot or something. And just, it's crazy, the battlefield's crazy. It's not off a flat plane, it's dug up by boots and thousands of people running backwards and forwards, and it's all muddied up and stuff. Can barely speak English, as you can see once again. So here you can see I'm getting my hot wire tool. Don't even know what the name of half this stuff is. And I'm just using this to make these straight lines, kind of as if bullets have hit it. And this was more when I was thinking about too in depth into the whole project itself. Like, you know, you don't have straight lines like this in like muddy walls as much so, but it kind of gives a good background detail to the whole thing that I know is there, and you can slightly see in the when we go to the next steps and cover these with panels and that. You can see the cross there that we made. We just cut some strips of XPS foam, stuck that together with hot glue, and stuck a kebab stick through it so we can take it on and off, so when we close the lid of the actual coffee table it doesn't crush the cross itself. And then we just used a hot wire just to make them marks, because that's going to be concrete, so you could see gunshot wounds back and forth. Then using a Dremel, we, you know, destroyed these bits that are going on the side of the trenches to hold up the muck. I also had to rub off some numbers. There was some numbers on the bottom there because this is off of a goat's cheese container, so I just had to take all them off. And then as you can see here, I'm just showing you what we're kind of gonna do with the trenches themselves, the pieces of landmass, to make this more realistic-ish as much as we can. We're gonna wrap it in a kind of wire mesh, and this is going to kind of trick the eye in thinking that there's lots of layers holding back this big pile of muck, if you know what I mean. Like these trenches were not perfect by all means, but these boys probably would have used anything that they could find to hold back like tons of earth. So as you can see, the green plastic is representation of like metal, big metal beams and stuff. I have small wooden skewers and kebab sticks we're sticking there, and that's just wood that they're sticking on. And then I have some cardboard that we're going to stick on, and that will just look like corrugated iron and stuff. Can't even say that. Corrugated iron. Yeah, apologies for the accent. Don't make me say that again. And then like the mesh and stuff is just another layer. So all this is just giving the eye something to look at, making it look that bit more realistic. Well, that I think anyway. Everyone, you know, the process is different. But I like this, you know, adding all these little layers upon layers, and it's that bit of individuality, and I know it's there if anyone else doesn't. So then continuing on, we get these corner pieces from some packaging. I don't know what off, probably a telly or a washing machine or something. And then I realised that these would be good to make out as like little concrete bunker kind of shootout things. So I'm going to draw a quick cross in the middle, because the more crosses in Trench Crusade the better. We're going to cut that out, and we'll later kind of put more details into it by attaching more skewers and rocks and cutting into the whole thing. We remove the cardboard so we can physically see into the back of this itself. I was going to go with cutting the cross out in the middle there, but then thought to myself, if I was to cut this out and like try get into the back of it while I'm on a corner, it would be, yeah. So sometimes thinking ahead of the time is the best option. Sometimes working on the fly is the best option. Apologies everyone, I can barely speak with my blocked nose, so I really do apologise. I hope you can understand anything I'm saying. I think this is just another part of that hot wire tool thing that I was just using to scrape the styrofoam out there. So using a few of these leftover bits of you know, the plastic from the goat's cheese container things, we're going to simulate, like I said again, girders or some type of big piece of metal. We're going to put these on the corners, and this is simulating in my mind's eye that like these bits are holding up big chunks of dirt and like earth. And then going back in with our little stirring sticks, and we're sticking these just in random places on the main dirt mound pile where the cross is going to be sticking out of. You can also see that when I cut into the foam, there's some kebab skewers in the corners sticking out, and these I actually left there in the two corners, and it kind of represents like giant sticks that like something has been stuck in there to try and hold all this land mass in, like behind like all the wood that they're sticking there and all the corrugated iron and stuff like that. There's that word again I said I wouldn't say. Going into sticking more of this corrugated iron stuff on the walls. You can't stop saying it because that's basically what it is. It's sheet iron, it's sheet metal. So cutting all this goat's cheese container up into little zigzags, and then it's very good because it has already has these holes in it, and that representation of like bullets and battle worn damage and stuff. So making these look perfect isn't what the goal here. It's making it look destroyed and war torn and damaged, and it's been through the wars, no pun intended. And then taking out some cardboard. If you don't know, that if you get a piece of cardboard and just pull off the layers, you will get to turn out like this. You can do lots of techniques to make sure it comes out perfect, sticking them kebab skewers through the little slits and pulling them out so it's easier to pull the layers apart. And then cutting it into strips like this, you can stick it on the piece, and this representation of just metal plates being stuck on to hold back all the land mass. So as you can see what I was talking about with all the layers, so you don't have to do this. You could literally just stick one type of material around the whole thing, and that would do the job. I just preferred to do it this way. Let's get it straight, everybody. Let's not lie to ourselves. I kind of went a little bit overboard, but yeah, the mind goes there sometimes, and just run with it. Sometimes things just go wild when you're in this hobby process, and sometimes that's the fun of it. The process is about enjoying yourself and seeing what happens in the end. So we're just going over all of the pieces of terrain right now with some texturing. So basically a piece of a rock, or you can get tinfoil smushed up and anything like that. And this is just to make everything look that bit more battle damaged. And taking out this mesh again, we're going to cut a piece up and stick it behind that cross, giving that little bit of detail, just so it doesn't look like someone could just walk through that little gap, and there is a barrier there into an actual bunker, like a concrete bunker of some sort. Just making sure we use an awful lot of hot glue there, and it's stuck down nice and firm. So using a few wooden, or they're kind of wooden cardboardish straws, like paper straws, I cut these in half, and then I'm sticking these on the corners of each of these pieces of terrain, like the the trench kind of landmass bits, and this is once again giving the mind's eye kind of that illusion of something is holding back all this landmass, and it's not just floating there, you know, it's not just sitting there. There is actually something physical holding back tons and tons of earth. Also, a side note, I think I went through probably about 50 glue sticks, not including the foot-long glue sticks that I have for this hot glue gun. Also, I think the hot glue gun needs to be replaced because near the end of this project, which is going to be a multi-part series kind of project, the hot glue gun kind of gave out, and yeah, you know, we just got this done. So this is pretty much what the individual smaller pieces of landmass look like after trimming down them corner pieces and then sticking everything on. We're going to get out the Dremel and we're just going to go through this, making some more battle damage where needed, because what we don't want is flat surfaces on the side. And you know, like this is the trench where people are fighting in between, like kind of these walls of earth. So like, you know, they're going to be hitting off them, and you know, bullets are going to be ricocheting and stuff. So I had a few scrap bits of XPS foam left over, and with these we are going to utilize them because we don't throw anything away. This is one of the foot-long glue sticks I'm trying to use, but I kind of have to force it in with one hand and press the button with the other. Yeah, like I think I pretty much burnt this hot glue gun now. So yeah, utilizing these leftover bits of XPS foam, we're going to make some corner pieces of landmass, basically just huge piles of earth that we can manipulate around the board in order for you know, the people to climb up and down the land masses easy enough. You see what I mean when I put them in the position of where they can climb up and down land masses. So this is kind of what I was talking about. So if we put this in the corner here, and then if we cut out a bit and it will look like it's joining up there, we can manipulate this in a way that people can, you know, run up that piece of earth onto that layer and then get up onto the cross, and then that gets you onto the next layer, and so on and so forth. And we'll also have you know, planks going along all these pieces of earth, so there's that second level to everything, if that makes sense, and everything's more in depth than just one plane. Here you can see me making up the sediment kind of stuff that's gonna go on top of all the pieces of terrain. So basically it's just a mixture of some Timu grass and some rocks and stones I got from the beach, and then lots and lots of shredded bits of the XPS foam. So all of this that you just throw all this in the bin usually and just think it's dirt. But yeah, on this channel we use stuff that you normally throw in the bin to probably create something that you could still probably call trash. But you know, we call it a project, and we get to keep it, and the girlfriend doesn't give out to us. So yippee! Collecting trash. Nah, that's a bit sad. Don't collect trash. Whatever you do, don't. Trash is treasure at the end of the day. Projects can be done with stuff. So as you can see here, yep, exactly. As you can see, we're making trash into treasure. We're using that substrate and that Timu kind of stuff that we got. We couldn't use for one project. We're using it for something else. We're using some sand that we got with bits of dirt and all, and we're using that as the substrate to put some texture on the top of all this stuff. We'll later go in and paint all this and put more details in down the line. As you can see, we went a bit overboard with this, but it dried in quite well, and it actually dried in too well. I had to go over this again before painting. So you can see one of the corner dug out kind of bunkers, and then we painted all this in the end after going over it with another layer of substrate. So you can kind of see the texture that we have here, them corner mounds of dirt there and the little bunkers and stuff. We have a few of the smaller pieces of terrain, the trench terrain, and then obviously the big centerpiece with the cross sticking out of it. And before I let you go, thank you all so much, and I'll leave you with a few pictures of kind of a little timeline of where we are so far. Thank you again, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you all in the next one.